covering your hometown. From 5 newsrooms across the region, this is WDBJ 7.
I mean, everybody's out, everybody's voting. People are doing it in mail or in person.
Your vote in Virginia. With just 1 hour left until the polls close, Americans across the country and in our hometowns are making their voices heard.
I think that it's important just to show up, and it's your civic responsibility to vote.
We have team coverage of tonight's biggest races.
It's a lot different than last election, and it's good to see.
In this special edition of WDBJ 7 at 6.
And we thank you for joining us on this special election day. I'm Robin Reed.
And I'm Jean Jadham. There is just 1 hour left until the polls close.
Virginians from across our hometowns have come out and made their voices heard, and many also voted early. This is a look at the turnout across the Roanoke Valley. Some very big races that will be decided over the course of the night, including the presidential race, Virginia Senate, and the 5th and 6th districts.
We have team coverage across our region on this election day, from the Hill City to Alexandria. Let's begin with Michael Alaknowitz in Lynchburg first. Michael, how have things gone there so far today?
Gene, registrars tell me today has largely gone smooth. There were a couple minor issues early on, but nothing that had large impacts. Even with heavy early voting turnout, people made their way to the polls across the Lynchburg area Tuesday. Ballots were cast with relatively few issues. Power to one Bedford County precinct was lost, but only for a short time Tuesday morning.
The only issue we had this morning was at Big Island Elementary School, and they reported a power outage, but backup plans were in place.
Voters in Appomattox County face some uncertainty surrounding a rumor of where to vote. The general registrar says one precinct was moved to a different spot, causing some confusion for voters of other precincts.
Out of 9 precincts, we only moved one, and that is the Stonewall precinct. All other voters should be going to their normal precincts.
As voters did get to their own spots, one Lynchburg man says he's happy to see the turnout.
Everybody's out, everybody's voting. People are doing it in mail or in person. Yeah, it's a lot different than last election, and it's good to see.
Even local representatives made their way out to swing some last-minute voters.
People are anticipating another 4 great years under that leadership. So it's going to be a great day. It may take a few days to find out, but it's going to be a great day for America.
But no matter who wins, Jack Varanian says to keep looking ahead.
It's not the end of the world. That's all I can say, really.
Polls here and across the state will stay open until 7 p.m. As of late this morning, Lynchburg said half their registered voters had cast their ballot. A little further west, Bedford County says 70% of their voters had cast their ballot by late this afternoon. Jean?
All right, so high voter turnout. Thank you very much, Michael from Lynchburg.
Now, the polls are showing the race for Virginia's 5th district seat in Congress is shaping up to be a close one. Democrat Cameron Webb is aiming to take down Republican Bob Good and flip that seat from red to blue for the first time since 2008. WDBJ 7's Pete DeLuca joins us live from Lynchburg. So, Pete, what can we expect from these candidates tonight?
Robin, good evening. Republican Bob Good is set to hold a watch party here at Liberty University's football stadium beginning around 7:30. His opponent, Democrat Cameron Webb, will not be holding an in-person event due to the pandemic. Instead, he spent much of the day touring the 5th district, stopping at several polling places, including in Campbell County. Later tonight, he's expected to make some remarks on the race on Facebook Live. Good supporters will likely begin showing up here at Williams Stadium within the next hour or so. Many of his supporters also joined him for a rally on Sunday, where he had this to say.
As we continue to drive home the message of freedom, of the Constitution, of our values, of supporting our president, we believe that's a winning message in the 5th District.
I expect it to be a close race. I think that we've been able to make our argument, and the polls have shown us that it's going to be pretty close, and we're excited about that. And I think that we're just hoping that more people break our way.
Now, since 2000, a Democrat has won this race for the 5th district only one time. That was in 2008 when Tom Perriello did it, winning by fewer than 800 votes. Historically, though, when a Republican wins this seat, They do it by a large margin. Robin.
All right, so we'll see how that turns out a little later on this evening. Pete DeLuca, thank you very much. Incumbent Ben Cline and newcomer Nicholas Betts are vying for the 6th congressional district seat. Betts is a recent Washington and Lee Law School graduate. He cares strongly about affordable, well-funded education, clean energy, and improved access to the internet. Cline has been around politics for most of his adult life. He wants to make sure a COVID-19 vaccine is available soon and wants to continue to be a liaison between Southwest Virginia and Washington. Both Cline and Betts will be in Harrisonburg for the election results tonight.
Healthcare, coronavirus aid, and criminal justice reform have dominated Virginia's Senate race this year. The contest pits Democratic incumbent Mark Warner against Republican challenger Daniel Gade. WDBJ7's Eric Miller is live at Warner's campaign headquarters with more. Eric, what is Warner's closing pitch to voters?
Well, Gene, this would be for Warner's 3rd term as U.S. Senator, and you can see just in what's going on here at campaign headquarters, it's a very different election night. You look behind me, much smaller event. A lot of the pomp and circumstance you'd expect is gone. Instead, it's really just campaign staffers and members of the press here tonight. Now, Warner's been making a swing really throughout Virginia the last couple of days, trying to get his message across. He's trying to pitch himself as a guy who can reach across the aisle and really get things done. He points to 2 recent bills to back that up, one of which gets record funding for U.S. national parks, the other of which provides support for veterans. Now, that record has actually been what his challenger, Daniel Gade, has been going after. Gade has tried to portray Warner as somebody who is a, quote, career politician out of touch with most Virginians. Gade, of course, is an American University professor who also served in the Army in Iraq. Now, polls have had Warner up pretty consistently through this race, often by double digits. The most recent came out just on Saturday from Roanoke College. It had Warner up by 16 points. We'll see if that actually bears out here in a couple hours when polls close. We're expected to hear from Warner here at the podium, so we'll keep you guys updated when we know more. Gene?
All right, Eric Miller in Northern Virginia in Alexandria at Warner's campaign headquarters. Thank you, Eric.
Roanoke Mayor Sherman Lee and former Mayor David Bowers have clashed often during their campaign. And today, both men on the ballot in the Roanoke Mayor's race were still fighting for every vote. WDBJ7's Joe DeShield joins us live now at the Dyerly precinct. So, Joe, how are they bringing this campaign to a close?
Well, Robin, both candidates were out early. They were working hard to finish strong.
I'm glad to see you in my precinct, and glad to go check the box for you.
If a candidate wins a hard-fought campaign one vote at a time, both Mayor Sherman Lee and challenger David Bowers were still fighting for an advantage on Election Day.
And thank you for your support today.
Thank you.
Excited about going back.
The two men were out as the polls opened, and they shuttled between city precincts, greeting voters for most of the day.
And I've been encouraged with the turnout that I've seen.
It's a beautiful day. People are getting out to vote.
A steady stream of voters appeared at the polls as the two men offered their Election Day pitches.
This is a great city. We're doing well. I want to keep us moving forward. We're working through the pandemic, but you can trust me.
The people of Roanoke have a chance today for a new change, a new direction in Roanoke City Council. They can elect a new mayor and 3 new council members, 4 members of the City Council today. And it will change the direction of the city of Roanoke.
Independent Martin Jeffrey did not make the November ballot, but he has also been waging a write-in campaign. We'll also be following the city council election tonight. Robin, and one other interesting note, I just checked on the turnout here at the Dyerly precinct. Almost 83% of the registered voters here.
Remarkable, Joe. People getting out and voting today. We appreciate the update. We'll look forward to the results tonight. Thank you.
All right, let's talk about some weather numbers and go to your own hometown forecast. Now, Chief Meteorologist Brent Motz is in the Weather Center. Brent, turned out to be an absolutely picture-perfect election day weather-wise.
It did, Gene. The wind settled down. We had those warm-ups this afternoon into the 60s, and really just a beautiful evening, too. Skies cleared out, beautiful sunset, and temperatures holding steady right now at 60 degrees. If you're headed out to the polls there, the last little bit, it is going to be really just a quiet stretch of weather into the evening. Now, we We do see those temperatures drop fast tonight, a little frost in the morning for some of you, but look at all this warm air that begins to move into our nation's midsection. That gets pushed to the east as we go through the rest of the week. So each day we'll get just a little bit warmer. Again, tomorrow, look out for some frost early in the morning. By lunchtime, around 62 degrees, and we'll get those daytime highs in the mid-60s tomorrow afternoon with those light winds. Lots of sunshine over the next few days. We'll look at that warm up, plus I'll show you what is happening with Hurricane Eta. Made landfall today. We'll look at that 5-day track.
All right, Brent, thank you. Coming up after the break, we have a live interview with our political analysts.
Plus, we take time to recognize the volunteers making today go smoothly. That's coming up in tonight's Good News here at home.
Welcome back to this special Election Day edition of WDBJ 7 at 6. Special indeed because it's an election night unlike any other. Unlike any other,
For sure. Election officials say certified results might not come for days. So what does that mean for Virginia? WDBJ 7's Leanna Scacchetti joins us from the WDBJ 7 Plus digital news desk. Leanna, our political analyst, will be joining us virtually this year.
Yeah, that's right, Jean. Just another function of changes from the coronavirus. But we are looping them in throughout the night to help give us some perspective on this very different election night. Joining us this evening is Dr. Bob Denton. Dr. Bob, thanks for being here. I first want to ask you, how are you looking at this election night compared with election nights in years past?
Oh, my goodness. Well, every presidential election is historic, but my goodness, what's going on during this particular one? The early voting implications, how that's going to impact campaigns of the future. No more election day, but election season. The record turnout has interesting implications. Who are these more voters? Are we seeing a generational shift from the baby boomers of my generation to now the millennials, which is the largest voting bloc, eligible voting bloc in America? And of course, for me, the sadness is this intensity, this polarization that we've seen throughout growing over the last couple of years, where people are defriending each other. Everything is partisan. When businesses have to board up for 2 days, National Guards calling in some states. That's extremely disturbing in our elections in America. And so this is a very interesting time, very different time than in my lifetime that I've witnessed.
In particular, what do you think Virginians are looking at tonight and, in the next couple of days?
Well, it's interesting in terms of Virginia. I think one of the things to see is how much and what is the margin of victory in terms of Joe Biden. Does he have some coattails in 3 very important district races here? The 2nd, the 7th, and of course in our area, the 5th congressional district. They are targeted, they have national attention, and certainly will make a difference going forward. And so can Republicans pick up one of those and retain in the 5th? That's the question. And one of the things I'll be watching, and one other little thing is, I'm very anxious to see how that amendment about redistricting does tonight too. That could have major implications in terms of the Commonwealth of Virginia over the next decade.
Dr. Bob, thank you very much. We will be seeing you later throughout the evening. And of course, we'll be live right here from the digital news desk on Facebook to join in the conversation with all of you talking about that constitutional amendment. And you guys, like I said, if folks follow us on Facebook, they'll get that notification when we go live, so they can be a part of the conversation.
That sounds like a plan. I know a lot of folks are watching TV and they've got their iPad and they're
many screens.
And so a lot of information. Leanna Scacchetti and Dr. Bob, thank you so much. The polls close at 7, and you can stay with WDBJ 7 for all the latest as the results come in. We will have cut-ins on WDBJ 7 on air and our complete coverage online as well. And we will be on the air at 10 and 11.
And speaking of numbers, we've got some cold numbers for you again tonight. Got down into the 20s in Blacksburg, below freezing in Danville. It's going to get chilly tonight as well. We'll look at any rain chances for the next 7 days and a late week warm-up.
Now from the Berglund Automotive Weather Center, here's your hometown forecast.
We have almost a perfect combination for some frost tonight. Clear skies, winds go light, and of course that air very dry. Get down into the low to mid 30s in most locations west of the Blue Ridge and also into the mountains and then east of the Blue Ridge headed towards Lynchburg and Danville in the mid to upper 30s. And again, that's at eye level. That does mean that at the ground, it's going to get even colder where that frost can form. A little bit of a breeze ongoing this evening, but those winds turn calm later on tonight. And then we're waiting for that warm up. Big high pressure system, or what we call a ridge, builds in across our nation's midsection. And what will happen is that gets stronger. It pushes that jet stream way up into Canada. That's where all that Arctic air is, and the cool air that we had early on in the week and into the weekend. It also brings us above average warmth through the rest of the week. All that cold air stays up there, and the storm track too. So we're going to stay very dry over the next 5, maybe 6 days until we start to see another front that begins to head our way late next week. For the time being, a pretty good looking start to the day. 30s in the morning. By 9 a.m. about 49 degrees, so a chilly start for the kids if they're headed out early to school tomorrow. To lunchtime at 62, and then we'll get those highs in the mid 60s tomorrow afternoon. Lynchburg, Danville, very similar, around 65 to 67 degrees, and then to the west, Blacksburg, Wytheville in the low 60s, 50s toward the highlands with a light breeze. Now looking at the tropical satellite, we had Eta that made landfall today in Central America near Honduras and Nicaragua. The path of this does have it coming right back out into the water by the weekend, perhaps even approaching Cuba and South Florida. So what happens beyond that? Right now, most of the models suggest it's going to stay pushed to the south in terms of any rainfall for us. It looks like it'll stay down there towards Florida and headed towards Georgia. We're actually late next week going to be watching a cold front that comes in from the west, and that will bring us a better chance of some rain showers very late in the week. So right now it looks like this week's dry, but perhaps by late next week we'll see a pattern shift, which takes us back down onto the cool side of things and also brings us some rain. So get ready for some cool nights once again into the 30s tonight and tomorrow night. We'll warm up during the day, though, close to 70 by Thursday and Friday. The weekend is looking sunny, perfect weather for raking. The wind should be pretty light, and then next week we'll start out dry with highs in the low to mid 70s.
In tonight's good news here at home, we are taking a look at the volunteers who help keep our polling places clean and safe this election day. The Medical Reserve Corps had folks at the Salem Civic Center cleaning each polling station between voters. The goal is to keep everyone safe and healthy as people cast their ballots. The volunteers also helped promote proper social distancing and offered face masks to voters who may not have one.
All right, the Hokies and Flames are getting set for a big meeting in Blacksburg. Why the Hokies might be uniquely prepared to defend Liberty quarterback Malik Willis. That's next in sports.
Now at the Toyota Sports Desk, here's WDBJ7's Anthony Romano.
The Virginia Tech football team is right in the midst of a 3-game stretch in which it will face 3 of the nation's top rushing quarterbacks. Last week, Louisville's Malik Cunningham. Next week, Miami's De'Ara King. And this week, Liberty's Malik Willis. Head coach Justin Fuente says facing them one after another makes it easier to evaluate how to defend them.
They're all different. Some are better throwers, some run to throw, some try and get up the field, so on and so forth. But, it's becoming more and more the norm, almost week to week. Like it's almost flipping like the other way. The guys that don't run around are the exceptions almost. So, certainly being able to see what you could do better or what you didn't do well the week before versus an athletic, capable thrower, aids in that conversation. So hopefully you can continue to improve in handling those situations.
And that's your check on sports. We're back right after this.
The balance of power in Congress could shift with tonight's election results. Coming up at 6:30, we have more on what that could mean for the future.
All right, Robin, we do have a meteor shower taking place. It's going to be one of those that's ongoing through the month. It's not great, but it sometimes can bring some impressive fireballs across the night sky. It's the Torrids meteor shower. There's typically not very many of these, maybe about 5 per hour, but with clear skies and, of course, some great viewing, you may see a couple of those shoot across the night sky in the next couple days. Now, also good weather for raking the leaves the next few. We got the winds that settled down. I know I hear a lot of boos out there, and we'll actually warm up a little bit more. We might even get a little sun there late in the afternoon, a little too much sun if you don't be careful.
All right, Brent, appreciate it. We're going to be busy tonight.
We are going to be busy. We hope you'll stay with us. And for more news now, tune to WZBJ 24.